Hello Reds, welcome along to All for United.
Welcome back, everyone. All for United as per. That was an absolute shit show. Lost for words, quite frankly. Nobody turned up tonight. They've caught us on our own game, really. Great on the counter-attack. Firmino, who's possibly the worst striker in the world or ever graced the Premier League, got two. Really, really disappointed. I really wanted to annihilate him today. Obviously didn't happen. Wes, your thoughts on the game, buddy?
Well, when I saw the lineup, full of confidence, saw the Liverpool lineup, saw the back two in particular, with the inexperience and being as young as they are, I thought we would have caused them more of a problem tonight at the back, and we didn't. For me, it's an absolute disastrous performance. I can't pinpoint one player. Well, I can pinpoint one player I think that stood out to me. In the team, I thought Bissaka played well, but other than that, apart from Bruno, obviously did a lot of running. I think it was just a real bad day at the office. Whether our minds are on the Europa League final already, the term "on the beach" in football is thrown around quite a lot. But yeah, I'm very disappointed, and I think that the lads let themselves down tonight, and they've let the fans down too. So that's my thoughts. I think that a lot of the players will go home tonight and they need to look in the mirror and ask themselves, did they put in a good performance tonight? If they say yes, they'd be lying. I think they need to be honest, but we need to move on quickly. We've got Fulham to come up now, put it right against them and dust ourselves down and get ready for the Europa final.
Sorry, paused. I thought Wan-Bissaka, actually, we spoke about this in the background, didn't we? He looked like he was trying to get something, trying to get forward more than anyone else. Luke Shaw wasn't particularly great. There was a comment here about Fred. We spoke about this before. He was appalling, really, tonight. I mean, he's not really been particularly good last few weeks, and I think that really was emphasised tonight. Jamie, your thoughts on Fred and any other points you want to make, bro? I've got nothing tonight. I'm absolutely gutted.
Yeah, so obviously, like I've said this before, I'll say it again. The guy is not a football player. The fact that we spent £52 million on him is probably the biggest mugs game that we've ever played. We should have been lining up buyers for him. I don't care whether we take a massive loss on him or not. He shouldn't be playing for us. I've said it time and time again on this show. I don't know what he offers us. He's not a 6, he's not an 8, he's not a 10. He can't pass the ball. He can't really defend. He's not press resistant whatsoever. So, and pretty much everything was not necessarily all his fault, but he was probably at the heart of a lot of the bad things that happened. I saw a stat that said in the last 3 games in a row, Fred has given the ball away on the edge of the box. It's led to a goal, and it's just not good enough. I think the one about Shaw is interesting. I think when you take Rashford off that left-hand side and put him out right, which we all know it probably isn't his best position, I think Shaw also struggles because he doesn't have that link-up. And that's why I think we saw the game slightly change and the tempo shifted when Greenwood came onto the right and Rashford was on the left. But yeah, I don't think particularly anyone had a good game. Again, Wan-Bissaka probably was our best player. I think Greenwood looked good when he came on for a bit. I was disappointed in Henderson. He didn't seem as assured as he usually is. He fumbled the ball quite a few times, and he seems to be quite a commanding goalkeeper. He wasn't. They clearly wanted it more than we did. Like, have I missed something where we've forgotten that this is Liverpool? Like, this is United Liverpool. Mm-hmm. I don't care whether it's been rearranged. I don't care what's going on. It's the biggest game in English football, and the lads just seem to go, yeah, we really don't give a fuck.
Yeah, terrible. Absolutely terrible. I think you're absolutely right. I think I've said this many times before with regards to Rashford and Shaw. I think that when they're both on the left-hand side, they're far better. And the relationship between them both was great. And actually, when you look at it tonight, we caused them their most problems down that left-hand side. And I wish we kind of lapped that up and made more use out of it. But unfortunately, we didn't. Honestly, I genuinely I'm so fucking angry. And I don't normally get like this, but I'm just absolutely gutted. James, good to see you, bro. Nice to have you on again, mate. Your thoughts, buddy?
I won't go too much into how bad United were, because I imagine that's going to get covered a lot. I want to give credit to Liverpool, because as hard as it is, they played us off the park today. They made us look like complete amateurs. They outworked us, they outplayed us, everything. Their midfield just completely bossed ours. A lot of that goes down to McTominay and Fred, but give credit where it's due, and they took the chances when they created them. So fair play to them. But yeah, we just all at sea. I think we've shown now that the last 2 games, Maguire's one of the biggest parts of this team. I know he gets a lot of stick because he was very expensive, but we're now seeing that we're paying for quality, and that's what he gives. So yeah, just everything at a loss without him. I thought, it's hard to really tarnish the attackers, because they didn't see that much of the ball, because Liverpool were that, on top of us for maybe 70% of the game. That Liverpool were the better team. Obviously we had chances to equalise at 3-3. Greenwood had that good chance. Fernandes should have done better with a free kick, but I can't say we didn't deserve to lose that game, because we did. It was poor all over the pitch, but again, credit where it's due to Liverpool. They showed us why they were such a good team last season.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I mean, we were poor. We probably looked a little bit, at times, looked like we could potentially get back into the game. We've seen games in the past where other teams are playing brilliant and we just don't really show up. So, there were opportunities probably should have done better with. I was really hoping for a last-minute equaliser, but that would have flattered us, really, and it just didn't work out. Keane, good to see you, buddy. I'm going to get you on quickly before Amy. Maguire, massively missed, I think, tonight. Obviously, set pieces was a problem again. But yeah, what were your overall thoughts on the game, mate? And talk to me about Maguire and his absence.
Yeah, look, I think Harry Maguire, massive miss tonight. I think, his aerial presence at some stages was definitely missed. His organisation, in terms of his organisational skills, the back four is missed. But let's get this straight, though. We've been conceding goals from set pieces all season. So there's just been a running trend. This performance was just pathetic against our biggest rivals. It's pathetic. No fight, no nothing, no organisation. Gifting Liverpool goals. This wasn't even a vintage Liverpool performance. They beat us 4-2 at home. It's absolutely shocking. I have no words to describe how disappointed I actually am in this performance today. I just feel let down big time.
Yeah, I think we're all in the same boat, mate. Amy, where do we go from here? I know it's only 2 games left. We kind of knew that this was coming. It was going to play sort of a stronger team. It hasn't worked out. We've got 2 more Premier League games before the final. What do we do now? Do we rest our main 11, which he used tonight pretty much, and saving it for Europa League?
Well, to be honest, I think we're going to have to try and rest some players for the Europa League final, because I think the last thing we want is overplaying any players and then risking any injury. To be honest, I was quite confident going into this game tonight, and I'm actually really disappointed with the result. So I was obviously we need 2 points to secure second place. So I was hoping we get that tonight so that we can go into the remaining games and rest players. But I don't know now, to be honest. I think we're going to have to rest some, maybe play some of our best players, which is obviously going to be risky. But if he wants second place, he's going to have to get the 2 points.
Yeah, absolutely. Mason Greenwood, obviously been in the limelight last few weeks. Did okay when he came on, brought a little bit of life back, I think. Obviously had a couple of opportunities. Wes, I know we spoke about the starting 11, but would you have started Mason tonight? Would you have thought that, with the confidence that he's got at the moment, the goals that he's had in the last few games, difficult to take Cavani out? Would you have started with him?
I'll be honest with you. I think that Ollie made the right decision tonight, purely based on the bigger picture. Mason played the last 2 games, arguably been unbelievable. I think I said it on Twitter 2 days ago that, you know, Mason for me is one of the first names on the team sheet in games at the moment. Obviously, I do think that Ollie did make the right decision given the amount of time that Mason has played recently. But in terms of looking at the final, because that's probably what the majority of the players are looking at, Mason starts, no question. What you've got to look at as well is, you know, who does Mason play instead of? And at the moment, I think that, with all due respect, I know Marcus scored tonight, but I don't think that he's benefiting to the team as much as what Mason does at the moment. When Mason plays his hold-up play, he's developed so much in the last 18 months, Mason Greenwood. His interplay with the midfield, coming deep, switches of play. Mason very rarely gives the ball away as well. Scores both feet. He's deadly. For me at the moment, like I said, I think Ollie made the right decision tonight based on looking after him and you know, trying to prevent any chance of injury. But yeah, Mason, other than tonight, starts for me. He's a fantastic player, and I think that we do need to look after him. And as I said in the final, even I go to the Jadon Sancho talk. We talk about Jadon Sancho playing on the right-hand side for Manchester United. Is he coming for Mason Greenwood's place, or is he coming for Marcus Rashford's place? Because at the moment, for me, he doesn't get over Mason Greenwood. I think Marcus Rashford could be the vulnerable one at the moment in that front three. And I love Marcus Rashford to bits. I absolutely love him. On his day, he's absolutely unbelievable. But for me at the moment, if I had to pick between the two, it'd be Mason Greenwood all day.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think with Rashford, obviously his return's been very good this season. I think it's difficult to take him out of the team. Obviously, he struggled with injuries, which I think, you know, still needs to be looked at, and he still needs some rest. But I don't disagree with you. But I think with regards to the Jadon Sancho thing, you know, in great United sides over the years, we've always had 4 players to rotate, and obviously we now have 3 up front, which you know we see week in, week out. So I think that we need that 4th player. So I don't think it jeopardises anybody's position in the team. But I agree with you. I think until sort of Rashford has a bit more rest, I think that at the moment he's probably the most vulnerable. And what does that mean for Martial?
Well, yeah. Can I just say, Mark, quickly, that I think we need to be picking a team now based on form. I think that Ollie has got a very big decision to make come the final. Does he? Because I think that, you know, Paul Pogba's so comfortable on that left-hand side. The balance is better. We do supply the forwards better. I think that Paul Pogba at the moment playing on that left does work. But then where does that leave Marcus and obviously Mason? At the moment, like I said, I'd probably go with Mason over Marcus on the right side. But yeah, Ollie's got a massive decision to make. Does he upset Rashford, or does he potentially upset Greenwood? Maybe kill the kid's confidence. You know, he's got a massive decision to make, and it's going to be interesting to see what team Ollie puts out come the final. And like I said, I think we need to go based on form and what's best for the team, and not what's best individually.
Yeah, I agree. It does sort of raise questions really with the final. You know, week in, week out, we're pretty sure on who's going to be starting or what our best 11 is. But I think it has raised those questions tonight. You know, when it really comes to it, are we going to be able to, you know, succeed? Jamie, do you agree with what you're saying? Do you think that we need to sort of start putting out a team based on form?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting dilemma to have. Like personally, I think like with Cavani signing the contract extension, it suggests that they'll hopefully go out and sign a right winger. I think if Cavani had left, then Mason becomes the right winger and we go out for a centre forward. I think Cavani staying means that it's only good for Mason. I think he'll learn from Cavani over the next 12 months. And I personally think he's been moulded to be the starting 9. And I do think we will sign Sancho. And I think that Sancho, Rashford and Greenwood as a front 3 for the next 10 years is a pretty decent option. But yeah, I think the idea about picking on form, is interesting because McFred as a double pivot isn't a full midfield pairing. I can't remember the last time that the two of them had a game where we've gone, you know what, they've really shone well today. Like Scott seems to play better when Pogba's next to him. Pogba obviously operates better, a little bit deeper, I think, because he has that vision. But to be fair, given what we've got available to us at the minute, I don't really see like what other changes we make other than starting with that front three of Rashford, Cavani, and Greenwood for now. But I just think, we were disappointed, and I think it does show how much we do miss Maguire. But just to pick up on a point that somebody made as well, is that what do we practice set pieces in the ground in training? Sorry, because we don't threaten from set pieces, and we get beat by set pieces all the time. So, and we've got big lads. You know what I mean? Like McTominay's big, like Pogba's big, Cavani's big, and yet every time we pick up a corner, I just think, well, here we go. They're just going to counter. So.
I agree with that. We've had this conversation before. I mean, they must work on these things. They must be able to look at the game and think, right, we are frail with these situations. Let's work on it. So do you blame the coaching staff or do you blame the players? Keane, what are your thoughts on that, mate?
Look, I think it's a collective. It has to be a collective here. I think, look, you have to call into question Kieran McKenna's role in this because he's our defensive coach. And this set piece has been our Achilles heel all season. So we haven't improved. If anything, it's stagnating, it's getting worse. So you have to call that into question. I think the players themselves, they're professionals, they need to have self-awareness. They should be a bit better. Zonal marking isn't working. Like, we're doing zonal marking all season. And we keep conceding goals from zonal marking. It's not working. How long more do you have to do for it before you realise it's not working? People can talk about Maguire being out. Like, Maguire being out is a massive loss tonight. Don't get me wrong. But we're still conceding them same goals with Maguire on the football pitch. So at the end of the day, it's a collective. But the coaching staff have to be called into question for persisting with zonal marking for all season. So it has to be called into question.
Yeah, I think you're right. It is a collective, really. And, you know, we can sit here and point fingers, but the coaching for tonight wasn't great and the players didn't turn up and perform. And it was awful. Just want to quickly touch on Henderson, really. For a few weeks now, he's been pretty strong, has made our defence look much better, reassured. And tonight, he was a little bit haphazard. Now, I'm going to look into, the final in less than 2 weeks now. David De Gea had an absolutely brilliant game against Roma. He shouldn't have been called upon that much, but he was superb. And Henderson will obviously take a little bit of a knock for this, I think. For me, it raises the question on it's a difficult one, isn't it? But it raises a question on who should start in that final, because you've got David De Gea, who's not commanding, and if it's a game that plays into our hands that way, it could be a problem. But we'll be able to sort of pull out the shot stopping, and Henderson tonight just wasn't good enough, and he probably could have been a lot better on two of the goals that I can think of. So where do we go with that? I mean, James, what do you think with Henderson tonight and his performance?
I think it's a poor performance. It's a nervy performance, isn't it, from a goalkeeper who hasn't really played in a game like this before. He's been at Sheffield United where, every game is a big game for them, but it's not quite United Liverpool. He's not played in any of the Europa League games really that have meant anything. So he's not. I think he just looked nervous. You could tell that when he didn't come out for Salah's goal. We've seen him come out like that numerous times over the last couple of weeks, and he just didn't because it was just a bit of stage fright more than anything. I think this won't have an impact on the Europa League final because I think De Gea was shoo-in to start that anyway because it's his competition. It seems like a bit of a farewell, this Europa League run, to David De Gea. So fair enough if he starts, but the calls on Twitter that Henderson's not good enough. He's been the better goalkeeper for the last 3 months since he's come in. He's improved the back line tenfold. His shot stopping ability is not quite as good as De Gea's, but everything else is probably better. It's a nervous game. It's a poor game, and that's all it is. Once he gets, he's a player that said himself he thrives on needing to improve. He thrives on the poor games that he has because they improve him most, and he'll learn from this. And I think once that big game ability is there for him, he'll be fine. I just, poor game, but it's not the end of the world for his career. He's definitely good enough to be United's number one keeper, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Obviously, we miss Harry tonight. I hope he's back in time for the final. We did touch on Fred earlier. He was absolutely appalling. And I think one of the commentators sort of made a good point, really. As a midfielder, you need to be able to pass the ball. And I feel that with Fred, he can't do those simple things right. And that, for me, is a problem. As a midfielder, you need to be able to get the simple things right. And you need to be able to pass the ball around, well enough. And he just couldn't do that. He gave the ball away too many times. Amy, we've spoken about Fred a few times before. What were your thoughts on him tonight? Do you think this kind of emphasises the need for a new defensive midfielder? Would you get rid?
Yeah, look, I said time and time again, like, I just don't think Fred's a footballer. Like, I've said numerous times, like, I don't even think he's Brazilian. But yeah, no, I find him very rash as well, to be honest. He just jumps into tackles as well, and he gives the ball away far too much. But I've said time and time again, I'm so sick of playing Fred and McTominay in the one position, and either of them are defensive midfielders. So I think tonight's game really made us realise what positions on the pitch that we need to improve on. So I know we missed Harry Maguire today, but we definitely need another centre back, because obviously the depth isn't there. And same with the defensive midfielder, we really need defensive midfielder. And we've seen straight away when Fred came off and Pogba came back into midfield, the tempo went up straight away. And again, we were saying there a while ago, or Jamie was saying a while ago, with Shaw and Rashford on the left hand side, they just click. And I think if we have a defensive midfielder and Pogba has that free role in midfield, and I just feel like the game will flow so much better. But if you're playing McTominay and Fred, like, they're not able to pass the ball between the two of them, so it's quite poor from both of them tonight, to be honest. Yeah,
I totally agree. I mean, we have seen obviously a number of games that they have worked well in. I feel that, if Liverpool played a counter-attacking football tonight, and if you've got a team like Leeds that come at you, Fred and McTominay seem to work a little bit better. And I was not surprised by the team sheet, but I felt that, even Matic, he came on and was poor as well. But I feel like he could have been a bit better in that situation, because would have kind of shored up the defence if he had a good game, which obviously he didn't, and then be able to get that ball forward quicker. Wes, do you agree with Amy that obviously a defensive midfielder is a massive acquisition that we need? And do you think a centre-back is also another one of those? Or can we just do with a defensive midfielder?
No, I agree with Amy. I think it's evident that, tonight clearly showed that we're desperate, and not just tonight, as well against Leeds also. We're desperate for, a natural holding midfield player that offers good qualities to the team. I think Fred and McTominay, as time has gone on, have been found out. I think teams are targeting them, pressing them early, obviously forcing into mistakes, as we've seen in the one of the last games when obviously Fred brought the ball down, McTominay lost it, and then they break through and score. I think it's just evident now. And in terms of a centre-back, I think we're desperate for someone alongside Harry Maguire. I'm not slating Lindelof, but I think that there's been, games where he's very weak. He's very vulnerable. You've got Bailly and Axel as well, who are both injury prone. I don't think we can rely on them. We need. Harry Maguire has been taken out of the side now, obviously because of his injury. But when I saw that back four tonight, I did have question marks as to how they're going to deal with Liverpool's front three, because they did cause problems tonight. Liverpool were good, and defensively we were very, very poor. So yeah, I really hope that we do go in for a holding midfield player in the summer. And hopefully we can snap up a centre back as well. I think that it's evident it's needed. We need to have depth now, and also players playing for places within the team, because I think there's a few players that are a bit too comfortable at the moment.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm just absolutely fucking irate. Sorry. Fred, yeah, just absolutely terrible. Harry was missed tonight, and obviously Bailly is having to fill in for him. But I felt that on a couple of occasions he doesn't really suit this type of game. He's quite rash, goes into tackles a bit hard. He was lucky not to give away a penalty. Probably wasn't a penalty. And then he obviously picked up a ridiculous yellow card. Do you think we need to invest on a centre-back, Jamie? Do you think Bailly is the answer as a substitute for Harry?
No, yeah, we definitely need to go back into the market. So Bailly and Lindelof are probably like second fiddle centre-halves, aren't they? Like you have your main man. Obviously, we were blessed with Rio and Vidic that they both operated as the main men and they both complemented each other so well. But I think Maguire makes them both look better than they are. I rate both of them as football players. I think Lindelof's a weird one as a centre-half because I don't feel he has the physical presence to really be that bully that he needs to be. He doesn't have the aerial dominance. But what he is so good at, and we saw it again tonight, there was the moment where he picks the ball up and he makes that diagonal pass over the top to Rashford. He's done that so many times. And as a ball-playing centre-half and somebody that can like get a counter-attack started, he is good. Partnering him against Bailly is such a bad decision, though. And it was hilarious because there was commentators tonight were talking about how he had to play on the left-hand side as well. And as they said it, Liverpool cut us open because Lindelof wasn't tracking his man. So I think getting a centre-half in probably is a priority. Somebody that can deputise, somebody that's good alongside Maguire. I couldn't, honestly, the names that get thrown around these days as a centre-half, I don't want to start saying names because you get told, it's all nonsense and stuff like that. But just somebody that we know that we're going to be okay with if we have to slot them in. But I agree that a 6 is a priority, somebody that can genuinely just shield the defence and pass the ball out through the midfield. We said it a couple of weeks ago on the show that we operate with a double pivot with 2 players doing one player's job, which then restricts us in the midfield. So if we go out and sign a genuine proper 6, like Matic was, 6-7 years ago, then it frees people like Pogba up, it frees Bruno up, and it just helps us with that transition in midfield. But yeah, if we go in this summer, and obviously I know our expectations are on the floor with the Glazers' investments, etc., etc. But if we're going to be optimistic, if we go for anything less than another centre half, a holding midfielder, and a right winger, then I think we're failing.
Yeah, I think we need that at a minimum, at least 2 of those. I've said before that I feel that if we can get a number 6 in to do one man's job and not using 2 of them, you'd shore up that defence and enable more attacking football. So yeah, I think that's our main priority, to be honest. And hopefully Sancho is a done deal. Keane, would you agree with that? We've spoken a few times recently on what our target should be. Been a lot of discussion about it. Defensive midfielder. Do you think that's our main priority?
That's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. All season we playing McTominay and Fred there. Like we play the ball out from the back and 2 of them can't take the ball on the half turn and they give the ball away. Like they're not comfortable on the ball. They're not natural defensive midfielders. It's just disgraceful that last summer we didn't go out and get one. This year we have to go in and get one this summer. If we want to be anyway ambitious next season and want the challenge, you need to get a defensive midfielder who can actually take the ball under pressure and release it quickly and actually be able to pass the ball. That's a minimum requirement for a defensive midfielder, that you're able to pass the ball. Neither of them can do it. McTominay or Fred, neither of them do it. They're literally in there because they can run. Do you know what I mean? Matic's legs are gone. Matic was very good there last season, but his legs are gone this year, so he can't play there. So it's minimum you get a defensive midfielder. I do agree. You do get a centre back in there as well, alongside Maguire, who can actually, be on a level playing field with him. And Maguire's not mopping up for anybody else. And it looks a right winger in the summer is most definitely important as well to give us the extra outlet, because there's sometimes we play constantly down the left hand side and sometimes we can be one dimensional. So if you're looking at prioritising any of them, I think you have to say defensive midfield has to be the number 1 priority, and then a centre back.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, mate. Van der Beek, didn't really see any of him tonight. Do you think that he could have sort of come on and changed the game? James, what are your thoughts on that, bud?
I'd like to say yes, but given what we've seen of him recently, I can't imagine he would. You know, that Liverpool midfield is known for being busy and bustling, and that's not what Van der Beek likes, is it? I think he likes having a lot of time to pick passes out, and you know, we've seen against Leicester when he was up against Tielemans and Didi, he doesn't like being hustled and harried. So as much as I'd like to say yes, because I love Van der Beek, even though he barely plays, I don't think he would make a difference at all. So yeah, I think it's also worth noting it's not a surprise that Fred and McTominay got overrun, given how good that midfield of Liverpool is on paper, because you match him up man to man, and as good as we may think McTominay is, he's nowhere near any of the Liverpool midfielders, is he? So you know, I'm not surprised we got completely overrun in the midfield, because the quality is just not there.
Yeah, Paul, we made Thiago look good tonight, and that was a real shame for me. Amy, I'm going to come to you for your final thoughts, really. Do you think it was lost in the midfield tonight? Would you have settled differently?
I think our defence was quite poor as well, to be honest. Like, they're making stupid... I think overall, every player was making stupid mistakes and giving away passes that they shouldn't be giving away. And I think Liverpool were pressing on us so hard, they were forcing us to make the mistakes as well. And I think, obviously, the first 15, 20 minutes, obviously, we were dominating. And after we scored that goal, it looked like we kind of rattled them a little bit, but then they started to come into the game. So, I don't know, I think it was a collective thing overall, to be honest. I think Liverpool were forcing the mistakes on us, to be honest, and we just couldn't get back into the game properly, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was a catastrophe of errors all over the pitch, I think. Right, this is the fun bit, hopefully. I want you, if you can, other than the kit man, give me your man of the match. Wes, you go first.
Yeah, tonight for me it was Bissaka. I think as of late he's been consistent in his performances. Got us out of jail a few times tonight. So his tackling was timed to perfection. I think that he's game by game he's improving going forward as well. Did actually put some nice balls in the box too. He goes past his man so easily as well. I think that Bissaka, you know, for me, is a player that's just going to get better and better. He's had a lot of stick over the last 12 months, you know, but I think that he's getting better going forward. I think if he can just improve that little bit more with his, you know, ball in the final third, because he's very silky, you know, his link-up play when he does get forward with the forwards, putting the you know, the little passes in behind the back line. He's, you know, he is a nice footballer. So yeah, you know, for me tonight, it would have definitely been Bissaka.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, actually. I've said before that, you know, Luke has improved, as I said, because of that link up on the left-hand side. And I feel that if we can get a right winger that can, you know, build a relationship with Wan-Bissaka, I think you'll see a lot more of him. I actually think him going forward is actually underrated, and I think it would be far better with someone being able to track back. Daniel James actually one of the better right wingers we've got, because he goes back and you tend to see Wan-Bissaka have a better game. Jamie, do you agree, Wan-Bissaka, or who else for you?
Paul Tierney, just for giving us an actual VAR decision that was probably correct. Probably Wan-Bissaka, yeah. I think in a game of few positives for us, it's nice to see once again that he's learning in his attacking game. He seems to be progressing. And there's a couple of times that he got the ball in their final third and actually did, you know, quite well with it. Whereas at the start of the season, we saw him so many times run down that right channel and just either punt the ball out or get dispossessed. So yeah, definitely Wan-Bissaka for me.
A lot of love for Rashford in the comments. Keane, would you agree with that?
Look, I'm just happy he got another goal today to kind of add to his tally, but it wasn't a vintage Rashford performance today. I think Wan-Bissaka was good today as well. Again, one thing I would say, I'm happy that Bruno kind of got that duck off his back, that he doesn't score in a big game against the top six side. That's another game he scored in. I'm really clutching to say if anyone was really magnificent as well. I'll just give it to Bruno because of that, you know, broke that duck. I'm lost for words, lads. I'm sorry.
Mate, I think I'm the same. I'm so frustrated. I don't blame you, but James, for you?
I think if Rashford was playing left wing for the entire game, he would have probably been man of the match, because I think him going over to the left and Greenwood coming on sort of changed the game, didn't it? We sort of got our asses into gear for 20 minutes and then conceded a sloppy goal at the end. So probably would have given it to him. But yeah, can't really look past Wan-Bissaka. I think defensively he was as good as you'd expect him to be. We know that going forward, he's still got a lot of work to do. He gives the ball away a little bit, but got himself an assist. So, can't really complain. So I'll go Wan-Bissaka. I do think Henderson deserves a little bit credit, though, for the saves he did make to keep the scores down. I think it could have easily been, 5 or 6. When Manny went through, when Jota had that chance that cannoned off him and all stuff like that. So I think Henderson deserves a little bit of credit, but no, Wan-Bissaka for me.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Disagree with it. I think he's been very good over the last few weeks. I just felt that a couple of things that he should have been a bit more assured on, but you're absolutely right. He made some good saves, and we could have been. We were embarrassed, but we could have been really embarrassed, and he did keep us in that. Amy, final thoughts? Your man of the match.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with Wan-Bissaka, to be honest. He just timed his tackles so well. And if you look at Wan-Bissaka last season compared to this season, you can see that there is a big improvement going forward. And to be honest, I can only see him getting better as well. So yeah, definitely Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, all around the board then, Wan-Bissaka, he was a bit of life in a shitty performance. Listen, I'm sorry it can't be on more positive terms tonight. I will welcome you all back on for a huge win against Liverpool next season that we will have. So I can only apologise for that. Thanks for everyone for getting in the comments. Thanks for everyone for coming on. Really appreciate it. Make sure to go and follow everybody. And we'll see you again soon.